Okay, so here we are on the Shots from the Hip podcast. This is a production of the Shotgun Sports Network. We're supposed to talk about sports, Jason. Is there anything going on?
Nah, not much, I don't think. Some little Mickey Mouse basketball league finished
Yeah,
up, and I think some
yeah,
hockey game was played, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
other than
We got to
that,
do something.
not
We got to do
much.
something about these small market teams.
I think
Our
there's a
proposed,
soccer tournament going on or something. I don't know.
yeah, soccer. Who watches that?
Or
This
sorry,
is America.
football.
This is
Football.
football. This is North America. All right. So we'll find something to talk about, which is happening or has happened in the world of sports coming up next.
Welcome to Shots from the Hip podcast. Brought to you by Royal Retros on the Shotgun Sports Network. Here are your hosts, Jason Bizik and Oz Davis.
Hey, hipsters watching on the Shotgun Sports Network YouTube channel or listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell to be notified when we post this show or any other videos, such as the sports movie reviews or sports history, which you can also find on this channel. Welcome to episode 21. We actually did record 21 last week, but some technical difficulties happened. We may still upload that. I don't know. We'll call it 20 and a half, maybe. I don't know. We may have
like
some
that.
sports to talk about this week. Some good, some not good.
From a certain perspective.
Yeah.
Well, look, folks in the South lost one championship and won one championship, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you count the South as a place, well, they had an eventful weekend, and I guess, well, okay, we can get into it, but I just want to say real quick,
one city was destroyed, and one city just kept on ticking like nothing happened.
well, I don't think San Antonio was devastated by the loss. I mean, we could just jump into it. Let's talk about that. What a few people in the media have been talking about that New York Knicks championship this past weekend, winning 4-1 over the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think San Antonio can be too heartbroken about this. I mean, considering that this team has been thought of as the heir apparent all year. Not many people figured that they would be playing in the championship this season. This playoffs in the NBA really defied expectations, I think, the whole way. Yes, a lot of folks, figured on Oklahoma City, maybe versus San Antonio, but for a little while it looked like Minnesota might give San Antonio a problem. They might be back next year as well, but that's another subject. Everybody figured the Lakers were going to get bounced in the first round. They weren't. On the other side, a lot of folks had the Celtics, at least coming out of the East, no question. Couldn't even get past the Sixers. And so one of the nice things about this NBA championship is that things have been changing almost game to game in terms of public perception of these teams. But San Antonio will be back. I was saying it after game 1 of this series. Man, if San Antonio doesn't win the championship, I would hate to be a team in the West next year, including my Lakers. This is going to be like the last time. I feel like this is going to be like the last time the San Antonio Spurs won in the championship, where the following year finished number 1 seed, cruised through the playoffs pretty much, and finally took out LeBron James's Miami Heat, who had, beaten them in 7 the previous year. I really feel like, the San Antonio Spurs of 2006, 2007 are going to be a steamroller. I mean, this is championship or bust kind of stuff. Now, we'll see if they can do it. This year, okay, we can run through some real easy statistics. In all 5 games in this series, the Spurs had a halftime lead. They lost 4 of those 5 games. In all 5 of these games, the San Antonio Spurs had a double-digit lead in the third quarter. They lost 4 out of those 5. In the first 4 games, the San Antonio Spurs had a lead with a minute and a half left. They lost 3 of those 4. In game 5, they had a lead with 3 minutes left, and they lost. Okay? This is what the Knicks were about in this series. Pretty much in the playoffs, going back to game 1 against Cleveland at least, where they had to make, what was it, a 20-point comeback? And as it stands, in this final series, the Knicks have 3 of the 5 biggest comebacks in NBA Finals history. So you certainly can't say that they didn't earn this win. You certainly can't say that Jalen Brunson has arrived, and we're gonna be talking a little bit of Jalen Brunson later on in the show, probably a lot, knowing this show. But 45 points of his team's 94? Yeah, 94 the final score. 45 points by Brunson. Of course, this was really basketball tends to be that kind of game where if you're looking at 2 potential new champions, one guy steps up. Basketball is not an individual game, but basketball is one of those sports where one player can dominate a game. And it's not just possible. It often happens. And this is what separates champions from non-champions. Jalen Brunson, maybe I should leave that line for later on in the show. But one seriously unlikely superstar NBA champion. Second round draft pick. This guy, even 3 years ago, was mostly known as Luka Doncic's backup. This was a guy who controversially signed, an A-lister's contract out of free agency, despite the fact that he was primarily not a starter in Dallas. Again, this is not a guy who in these playoffs had terrific first halves, but demonstrated that kind of, Michael Jordan / Stephen Curry. / Kobe, really, kind of mentality in this championship series. So, nice story there to the Knicks. Oh, and I also wanted to say too that for those 12 fans of the NBA Cup out there, repeat champions. This is the first. This is the first twofer of all time, as we might say. So yeah, kudos to the Knicks, NBA Cup and NBA championship winners. Great for them, and it's nice to see. I've talked to you a little bit on this show before about being in a championship city, and there is no city like New York. And there was no championship celebration like this one, I think. And to paraphrase Rudy Giuliani, as we will see a bit later on in the show, next is the Rangers.
Right? I don't know about that happening. Interesting thing I saw today was that the Knicks title clinching victory was actually the most watched game since Michael Jordan's last finals trip. The game averaged 24.5 million viewers on ABC and ESPN, and at its peak was 33 million viewers. In 1998, the series between Chicago and Utah, where Michael Jordan won his 6th NBA title, averaged 29.04 million. So this was definitely a watched series and a watched game. So, And most of that's obviously because New York Knicks are in it, right?
Right. Right. 33 million viewers, about half of those were in New York. Right. Right. I mean, this is like World Cup in Brazil level stuff here. Um, I'm sure the town looked like Sao Paulo during the World Cup finals.
No,
But
yeah. I got to be
yeah.
honest with you. I was in Vegas the whole
Mhm.
week, and we did quite a bit of walking around, a lot of bars, a lot of walking around to different restaurants and all that kind of stuff. You would never know that the NBA finals were even going on.
Well, yeah, but that's an exception. That's an
I actually
exception,
I
right?
actually saw more UFL down there than I saw NBA.
Wow.
Yeah,
No joke.
two UFL games were on. I saw.
Yeah, just wait until the blue chips come to town. Just wait until they have a team
Yeah,
because
this is true. This is true.
man, I mean, in Los Angeles, by all accounts, people were like obsessed with the Knicks. Now, that's always been the thing about Los Angeles in terms of sports is that it's a town of transplants. There's a lot of people coming from outside of Los Angeles, and it's New York. So there's a lot of people from New York wherever you go, right? There's just a lot of people from New York.
Hmm.
So even in Los Angeles, the former hometown, um, there was Knicks everywhere. I dare say that there were maybe 3 cities in the U.S. who were not, you know, New York Knicks towns this past weekend. San Antonio, Las Vegas, and what? Charlotte or wherever the hell Carolina plays. Every other city in the U.S. I can guarantee you was Knicks focused. The last time the country rallied around New York this much, a couple of airplanes were flying into buildings. I mean, I can't believe that New York actually became like this cultural center of the sports world. Um, and also, two other things I wanted to say on that was thank you very much, NBA Game 5, for completely wiping the sports world's attention off the UFC at the White House event. I mean, it was glorious how much that was ignored.
Oh man.
Mostly because of the Knicks win. The other thing I have to say is, you see these 33 million viewers, this is amazing because this was the year that was threatened to go down as, yeah, that season where everybody tanked.
Hmm.
I mean, you remember 5 months ago when we started this podcast, that was the story in the NBA.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about tanking? Tanking is everywhere. We got 10 teams that aren't even trying. We've got the Chicago Bulls who can't decide whether they want a lottery pick or, a play-in game, crap like this. So thank God that this compelling, historical, we can say, team won the finals, because I think that's ultimately what people will remember.
Yeah, and the only other news that I see, there's a job opening in the NBA that you might be attracted to that I just glanced across here.
Uh-oh.
The LA Lakers PA announcer Lawrence Tanter retiring after 43
Oh,
seasons. So
wow.
they'll be looking for a PA
Wow.
announcer. There you go.
Wow. Okay.
What a
I could
job
do
that would
that.
be.
I could do that.
What a job that
Yeah,
would
it's probably pretty high energy though.
be.
And I imagine that first couple of months is pretty nerve-wracking. I'm gonna forget something. I'm gonna
Wow,
forget
43
something.
years. Jeez.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
For
yeah,
some reason, those guys, the PA guys, the play-by-play guys, these guys stick around forever.
mhm.
We have, outside of this, what was previously called the Staples Center. I don't know if it is still called the Staples Center. We have Chick Hearn. We have a statue of Chick Hearn. You have Shaq out there and Kobe and Magic and whatnot. And then there's Chick Hearn sitting behind a desk, you know. So, you know, we venerate our play-by-play guys and our announcers out there.
No, the
I guess
the LA Lakers have gone on with the times. They're no longer sponsored by an Office Depot. They're now sponsored by
that's right. They're
Crypto.com.
Crypto.com. Right.
They're with the times.
Okay. I refuse to say that. Okay. So yeah, it's gonna be the forum. I'm gonna call it the forum. Back when, you know, Marv Albert was calling the games. They were at the
good old forum.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's what I'll call it. But I mean, Jesus, why don't we just call it Chick Hearn Memorial? You know, let's get rid of that Crypto.com. My God. I'm sorry I remembered that.
Hey, it wouldn't surprise me if soon it's called LeBron Arena.
Oh,
he's such a
he could buy it.
He's such a businessman that it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. He said this not exactly when he started playing, but soon after he started playing. He wanted to be the first billionaire basketball player. And now he is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Because he owns Blaze. Do you know Blaze Pizza? Do you know that?
I love Blaze Pizza. I had no idea he owned
that.
That's
LeBron's. Yeah. That's
wow.
LeBron's. Yeah.
That's
where
pizza.
that's where he's made a ton of his money in his career. Certainly not from Space Jam 2. I don't think that was although he did make money on that, but I don't think that was as profitable a venture as he had.
No, I don't think so.
Which is good because that's a terrible movie. Oh my God, it's bad. Not even Anthony Davis.
We digress.
Yes, this is a digression. Okay, so we have the Knicks winning their first championship, 53 years. How did the Stanley Cup Finals compare?
Well, I mean, the games were certainly entertaining. Vegas jumped out, to a series lead, 2-1, and
2-1,
and then the wheels fell off from there. It was just plain and simply, they just ran out of gas. I think, previous to this series, the Golden Knights played 16 games before making it to this series, while Carolina had only played 13. And I know it's only 3 extra games, but the Hurricanes actually got breaks in between their series because they finished their series off so quickly. Whereas as soon as the Vegas Golden Knights series were ending, the next series were beginning. So they didn't get much of a break in between. And, I don't want to make up excuses. That's not really an excuse, but.
Well, it happened to the Spurs. It happened to the Spurs. The Spurs was this young team in the finals, but they had to go through a grueling playoff run. And, here come the Knicks, who had a playoff run like the 1983 Sixers, who went, I believe, 12-1. Same deal with the 2001 Lakers, who won every game except for one in the playoffs. More like that. In the case of rest versus rust, well, in the championship, I feel like that tends to go to the rest side.
Yeah, and I mean Vegas was also definitely missing their star forward William Karlsson for most of Game 5 and all of Game 6, which is huge. Not necessarily because of his scoring being missed, but because it forces Coach John Tortorella to switch his lines up, and that throws chemistry off of lines that were already producing. Another big factor, goaltending, of course. Goaltending is huge in Stanley Cup and in NHL. Carter Hart did a great job and left everything out on the ice, but a few weak goals that he maybe should have stopped, mixed with Knights running into a hot goalie at the other end in Brandon Bussey, who just turned the tables that much more in Carolina's favor. Bussey was outstanding in that last game, and the Knights, missed a couple of huge chances, and that would have turned the tables huge, I think. So I guess now we wait to see what the offseason will hold.
Mhm.
Carolina Hurricanes are Stanley Cup champions.
So you were in Las Vegas for this. How
Yes.
was the vibe? I mean, I know nobody knows who the New York Knicks are, but how was the vibe there? Was everybody geared up?
It was very interesting, the vibe there, actually, because if you're down near the arena, down near T-Mobile Arena, they have watch parties and there's hype and there's everything going on there. Outside of that block of Vegas, you wouldn't really know that there was any hockey going on
No.
outside of a few people wearing jerseys and sitting at the bar
Mhm,
watching the game. Um,
mhm.
no huge crowds or no big watch parties outside of that arena. But I wore my jersey around Vegas in the 40-degree weather, and I was dying. But people were definitely noticing. I'd get some fist bumps and some go nights, and but yeah, I mean, it's a very weird vibe there.
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain it. Of course, they had the Statue of Liberty wearing the Golden Knights jersey and all this kind of stuff, and but yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, there's definitely hype around the city for the Knights, but come game time, outside of the arena, hard to tell.
Yeah, but the truth is too that I mean, when most people think about Las Vegas, right, they're
Hmm.
thinking about the strip, right? They're thinking
Hmm.
about off the strip. It would be like, thinking that New York is just Manhattan, or Wall Street or Broadway,
Yeah.
or even just this area of New York is New York. And, the thing is, go to Henderson, go
Hmm.
to the outer reaches of the city.
Hmm.
When I was there, that was that year that they were their first season when they were in the
Right.
Stanley Cup Finals. And let me tell you, that year, I mean, it looked like New York probably did last weekend.
It
I mean,
was crazy.
everybody was wearing the gear. Everybody was talking about it. I mean, even the folks in the hotel were wearing the gear. But
Hmm.
that's what happens, right? You get a championship team and you get spoiled.
That's right.
Second
That's
one,
right.
second one, who cares? Ah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Business as usual.
Right. But so now the Knights are 0 for 2 in Stanley Cups. Two
No,
appearances.
they've won one. They
Oh
won
no,
back
they
in
won. That's
yeah,
right.
2023 they
That's
won.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's quite a history, already.
Interesting to note that 3 out of the last 5 Stanley Cup championship games have been won in Las Vegas.
Actually, literally in Las Vegas was the final game.
Yes, yeah, there was this one, which was in
Okay.
Vegas, where Carolina won. The last one was in Vegas when who won that one? I don't remember who won that one. Was it the Washington Capitals? I can't remember.
Yes.
Was it
Yes.
Washington?
Yeah.
And then the
That's
year before
right.
that, Vegas won.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or no, they won the year before Vegas, I believe.
The Caps.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because Vegas was in
'Cause
2023, then in
yeah.
2022, I think was the Capitals
Yeah.
winning it in Vegas.
Yeah. Because it was after COVID. I
Yeah.
remember I have a friend of mine who's a lifelong Caps fan. He grew up in that Washington, Virginia area. And so he was always a Caps fan. So yeah, I made sure to congratulate him. This is a nice thing about, again, another nice thing about the Knicks winning the championship is that most people know a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so it's nice to congratulate that friend of a friend that maybe you haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah.
It really kind of encapsulated, I'm sure not so much for Carolina fans, but it really encapsulated what sports can mean to a
Yes.
community. Now, I'm not so sure if that's the case with Carolina, but when a team like Washington wins the Stanley Cup or Pittsburgh or Boston, a city like this, yeah, it really comes together. It really coalesces around that. So I don't know about Carolina, but you want to make early picks for next year?
Well, one
I've got a
shocking,
rematch in the NBA, so
one shocking. Oh, do you? You're picking the Knicks and
sure, why not? Why not? Why
okay.
not? I mean, Indiana, I mean, this early out, Indiana in the East, they seem like a threat. I mean, they played just 2 years ago, they were in the championship. And, mostly based on their young sensation, Tyrese Halliburton. Now, Halliburton literally spent the entire season last year out. So that's a big re-addition to the team. So yeah, Indiana will probably be a threat. The Celtics are going to lose one of their big two, more than likely. So you can't really count on them. The Sixers, I don't know. I think they're still in the process. So, but yeah, right off the top of my head right now, gun to my head, I'd have to say Knicks. A lot of this will depend on the movement of Giannis. Giannis can lift a team probably to the championship. And I'll tell you what, if he goes to Minnesota, that's going to be interesting. if he goes to Minnesota, because man, a couple of breaks and the T-Wolves might have beaten the Spurs this year in the playoffs. So it would be interesting to see if they can add the Greek freak to that team. But yeah, I mean, all things being equal right now, if I had to make a bet, sure, I'll go New York, San Antonio again. Why not?
Well, the interesting thing, news coming out of Las Vegas today was that Coach John Tortorella will not be returning to the Vegas Golden Knights next season. So it seems like the Vegas Golden Knights brass has some other plans, because I can't see this being Tortorella's decision, but I don't know. I guess details might come out eventually, but so he won't be returning. But Vegas Golden Knights, when they're 100% healthy, I believe they are a Stanley Cup team. So I could see them returning next season. A lot's going to go down in the offseason. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the Edmonton Oilers, their coaching situation. Teams from the East, like Carolina is strong. And if they come back with the same crew they have right now, they could be deadly as well. Colorado is always good, although we'll see what happens. The offseason is going to tell a lot. Like the NHL's usually a lot of moves in the NHL offseason, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good luck, I guess, to your Knights. I don't know. Next year? I don't know. That's a lot of glory. That's a lot of glory for an expansion team.
Maybe by next year I'll be able to afford tickets to a game.
No, you won't. No, you won't. We can.
I feel
we'll be discussing that later. I feel like.
I feel our viewership's going to take off, and we're going to start becoming rich off this show.
All right. Great. I like that feeling. Go with that feeling.
Let's move from sport on the ice to a sport on the pitch, shall we?
Okay.
Some big soccer or football tournament happening right now, I think.
Yeah.
Big enough that they call it the World Cup.
Yeah, and they actually mean it. Not like the World Series. Not like the World Series, which is played between two teams based in North America.
Yeah. So what's happening in the World Cup? I haven't been following closely, but the only thing I've picked up so far is yesterday there were 4 draws, which was absolutely insane, apparently. And if you would have bet on it, you'd probably be able to retire. I heard on the radio they mentioned something about Canada might come out of their group in the World Cup. So yeah, tell us about it. What's happening?
Well, I mean, I wanted to lead with the most insane group is clearly Group B, your Team Canada's group. Canada starts off this thing by tying Bosnia-Herzegovina. Now they tied this game in the 72nd minute. So Canada should be quite proud of this draw. They almost didn't come out with a draw. Meanwhile, Qatar pulled off the miracle tie against Switzerland in injury time. right? So this was beyond the 90th minute of the game, right? They managed to tie up Switzerland. So now you're looking at a division where everybody is 0-1, one draw, and everybody has 1 goal for and 1 goal against.
Man.
So pretty sweet, pretty funny. And I guess the second tiebreaker, because I was trying to imagine this, like what would happen if all 3 of these teams go 0-3, right? So you have 3 teams with 3 points each. What would happen? And I believe that the second tiebreaker is just goals scored. So whoever can score the most. Now, I said going into this tournament that this is the weakest group. This is the group where it's up for grabs. Top team is number 19, Switzerland, in the world. And again, they tied with Qatar, which is not, a superpower in the world of soccer. So I see no reason why Canada can't advance. But they could probably even squeak through with 3 draws. Just make 3 draws. If that happens, there will be no third team out of this group. I mean, I suppose, let's see, is that even possible? No, because now nobody can really, well, I suppose Canada could get 2 wins. They could still get 2 wins.
So who do they take out of the pools?
Okay, so first place, second place go through. Right? There's 48 teams. They're going to make a bracket of 32. First and second go through. That means half.
In each pool, first and second?
Yeah. Every pool, 1 and 2 go through. Okay. Then half of 8 of the third place teams are also going to go through. Okay. And that's just based on points. Now, the way that these numbers shake up, basically, if you win 1 game, you're through. You're through. In theory, let's see, is that possible? Yeah. In theory, you could get 3 points. Let's say you have 1 win, 2 losses, no draws. Okay. In theory, if you get that 1 win, you could still finish 3rd in your group. But odds are you're going to advance if that's the situation. Anyway, so really, win and you're in for the knockout stage. So Canada doesn't need to do much more. USA doesn't need to do much more. USA had one of the more impressive opening games, winning 4-1 against Paraguay. But on the other hand, I kind of felt like that between this game, Norway 4, Iraq 1, and Germany 7, Curacao 1. It is becoming increasingly obvious that 48 teams is too many. There's going to be a lot of scoring, a lot of blowouts in this first round. I mean, yesterday, as I'm looking at the score, you also had Argentina 3, Algeria 0. I mean, this is the World Cup. Scores like this are not supposed to be happening this regularly, but that's what happens when you put so many new teams in there. I mean, they increased the pool by 50%. This has been 32 teams for a long time. And instead, they just went straight to 48. I don't know why they couldn't have started with 40. That sounds like a good round number. And especially since I can probably pick out 8 teams that shouldn't be in this tournament. It would be pretty easy to reduce this to 40 and still have mostly high quality teams in this thing. But the real mind blower is with this many teams in it, how does Italy not qualify? This is now 12 years in a row where Italy is not playing in the World Cup. Pretty sick. Let's see. Not sure what else to tell you. It's just been the first game. And like I say, not too many surprises outside of Group B.
Wow. How about Japan tying the Netherlands?
Yep. You gotta like
Yeah,
that.
that was a
Gotta like
shocker.
that.
I heard on the radio.
Yeah, shocker. I mean, okay, I may be a plebe. I'm an American. Yes, there is a quality differential here. But by the same token, if Netherlands goes and just wins their next two games, no one's going to remember the draw in the first game. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. Look, soccer is difficult, right? It's difficult to score goals. Okay. 1-1 is not a surprising result, even with this talent disparity. It's the first game. So I wasn't blown away by that result. The Cutter game, that's a lot more surprising to me. I mean, this team is in the 70s, the 80s on the FIFA World Ranking. I mean, to me, that was more surprising. I mean, you could also talk about Brazil, Morocco 1-1, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but Brazil that's another one. They've been underperforming in these World Cups lately. So, that may be surprising, but I don't, there weren't any stunning upsets so far.
No.
Now, we're not even done the first round yet. There's so many groups in this thing that we're not even into, the second game yet of this thing.
I'm just looking through the different pools here, and I'm a bit shocked that Hungary doesn't have a team in the World Cup. Is Hungary not a? I thought all European countries were soccer super.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Hungary these days is hit or miss. There was a long time when Hungary was nowhere. Like the national team was a joke. Mostly in the 80s and 90s. But lately they're hit or miss. They've actually had some very exciting teams in the Euro Cup and in the World Cup in the past 20 years or so, in this century, let's say. But they're hit or miss. If you talk to the real cynical football fans, it's all been downhill since 1956. 54. I'm sorry. In 1954, Hungary was in the finals against West Germany, and this was the peak of Hungarian football. There's no getting around that. The leader of that team was a guy called Ferenc Puskás, and he is still known as one of the all-time greats. I mean, this guy was a stud and a half. They named the major stadium in Budapest after him. The biggest football stadium in Hungary is named after him. So like the soon to be Kobe Bryant Center in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So Hungary they're hit or miss. They failed to qualify this year. But yeah, every country in Europe has a team. Most of them are at least competitive. I mean, this is why you have Scotland in this World Cup, right? Mm-hmm. This is why you have, to a certain extent, Cape Verde in this World Cup, is that, these European teams, with the exception of the dominant West European teams, Portugal, Spain, France, England, Germany, countries like this, with these other countries, it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. They usually put together something good enough to at least compete for qualifying for this thing. But it just wasn't the year for Hungary this year, for Team Hungary. So we're continuing on in the World Cup. I would say that, for the casual sports fan, you shouldn't, but you can wait for the knockout round. The round of 32, the round of 16 is when you're really going to want to start paying attention. even if Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. are all out by the 16th, it's still that those are going to be the games worth watching. This is when you really see what soccer is about, in my humble American opinion. But okay, so here we are. The World Cup is just getting started up, but we've closed out two of the major North American sports. Nobody cares about baseball, and football hasn't started yet. So,
well,
CFL,
NFL football hasn't started yet.
yeah. So
CFL football has started, and my Stampeders, of course, did not play last week, but your Alouettes did.
Yeah.
And are now 2-0.
Yeah. I mean,
so did you watch the game?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. I've actually watched. I actually missed a game. But usually most years I can watch all the games. Usually most years I watch every single game. Unfortunately, this year, since I've had a few other distractions from the sports world, I missed the Winnipeg Hamilton game this week. I did cash my bet on that game, so I was happy about that. So yeah. I've been doing well at Pick'em. I'm 5 out of 6 this year so far in Pick'em.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the only game I missed was this last game this week, Saskatchewan, and only lost that by I had the point spread, so that game only went to 3 points. So, but yeah, let's talk Owls. I was waiting for this feed. One of the things that we've really noticed this year, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, is, hey, all of a sudden there are a lot of great quarterbacks in the CFL.
Oh man,
right? Guys flinging the ball all over the yard, like high-scoring games that you typically don't see in the first month of the CFL season. And I wanted to ask your opinion. How much of this is because of the play clock? Because the rhythm of these games has really improved.
Yeah, I definitely think a little bit of it is because of the play clock, but I don't know. I think the talent level is just heightened more.
But even a couple of years ago, we were lamenting the number of quality, CFL quarterbacks. I mean, people were putting Bethel Thompson in their top, 6. I mean, like.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, we're talking about McLeod, Bethel Thompson, Trey Ford, guys like that.
Right.
Now we're those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cream has risen to the top.
I guess, yeah.
Now, Davis Alexander goes out and has a hell of a game, throwing for 441 yards.
Yeah.
And he's still outplayed by Chad Kelly, but still manages to win. What a game.
Look, Kelly still threw the pick 6, right? I mean,
this is true. Okay. That one pick.
Right, which actually ruined my bet on this game, but which I can expound upon in a minute. But I guess for me, the stunning thing about the Alouettes is, look, we knew that the quarterback, we knew that Davis was great, okay? Mm-hmm. You figure that with a lot of losses on the defensive side of the ball, that Noel Thorpe, in Thorpe we trust, will put something together, and he has. The second half adjustments for this team already have been outstanding through these first 2 games. So, not too surprising. What's surprising is, how did we get the best receiving core in the league? Philpott, Sneed, and now in this previous game, Stearns. Stearns, are just eating it up.
2 guys over 100 yards. Like Philpott, almost 200 yards.
Yeah, Philpott almost 200
and
2 touchdowns.
God.
I mean, this I mean, this is what you gotta love as an Alouettes fan, and you have to fear, the rest of the league has to fear. I mean, on top of this, thanks to the schedule, the Owls already have a win against Toronto. They already have a win against Hamilton. Fantastic. I mean, again, as an Owls fan, you couldn't have wished for a better start. Now, already we've seen Davis Alexander take some hits and get up slowly or limp around a little bit afterwards. This is going to be what makes Alouettes fans' hair turn gray this season. But Jesus, as long as Alexander is on the field, wow. Who's going to stop us? Certainly not.
He's still undefeated in regular season, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's undefeated in everything except for the Grey Cup. I mean,
This is
Jesus,
true.
you could say he's undefeated at home and he's undefeated away. The only time he's took a loss is on a neutral site. I mean, honestly, I mean, there's a million ways to look at this thing and to look at just his success in this league. It's amazing. And I was one of the ones who was going, wait a minute now, Cody Fajardo just won us the Grey Cup and we're going to start this guy. But, I mean, who remembers that now at this point? It's amazing. Now, the Argos look pretty impressive as well. That was a nice surprise for their fans. Couldn't do too much in the second half, but, came out shooting. Like Jason mentioned, Chad Kelly, 445 yards on 28 of 46, 3 touchdowns, and the one deadly pick at the end of the game. But the Toronto offense looked pretty good. I mean, they had 2 guys over 100 yards receiving, Mital and Kalmar here. I mean, I didn't like it so much as an Alouettes fan, but you have to like it as a football fan. I mean, doesn't matter how you feel about Chad Kelly. The point is that the Argos do have a really a point scoring offense here. Now, it's early. This is the first game, and this year the offenses have begun the season way ahead of the defenses.
Oh yeah.
But there's a few defenses in the CFL that I might be depressed about, namely Toronto, BC, and Hamilton. These are teams that BC and Hamilton at least. These are teams last year that gave up points almost as quickly as they were scoring them. And they were scoring them really quickly last season. From early on, I don't see any improvement in these teams' defenses.
You can add Calgary to that list because Calgary was giving up points last season, and in their game last week against Winnipeg, I mean, their secondary looked terrible. There was Caleros was picking them apart, and they're lucky that they only scored 30 against them. They're lucky Winnipeg only put 30 up against them, in my mind, anyways, from the highlights I saw.
Well, to be fair, that's all they needed, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how much they needed, pretty much so. Well, talking of Winnipeg, I mean, against Hamilton this week, Hamilton 37, Winnipeg 27. Again, Zach Caleros, finding the fountain of youth, right? Again, people keep expecting, the Winnipeg team to sink, to fall. We've had enough of the Bombers winning championships. But they just refuse to go. Now, on the other hand, here's another defense that has issues, right? This was always a team when they were winning the championship where you could winning championships when you could depend on that defense just to slam the door on opposing offenses in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. But in the last couple of seasons, this has not been the case. They're losing more of their veteran presence. They're losing more of their veteran talent. And this game really showed it. I mean, the Ticats can score some points, and they've got a pretty nifty receiving core too. But giving up 37 you know.
So I've got the stats up on the screen there, and I'm going to point this out right here. This is the difference in the ball game right here. Brady Oliveira only 8 carries for
Right.
32 yards. Like that's
Yeah, well, he
that's
did have
unheard of.
50 he did have 50 some odd receiving too. Right? So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not a
Okay,
it's not a
51 receiving.
yeah, it's not a complete wash. But yes.
43 of those yards were after the catch.
Yep. 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 Well, yeah. That's what a guy coming out of the
I mean,
backfield is going to
he's
do, right? So,
just a
yeah.
beast.
Yeah, he's still got the motor there.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Hamilton, like Bo Levi Mitchell, like only 24 attempts and 19 completions for 287, but 3 touchdowns. Like
Mhm.
that's your difference. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's efficiency. It's
it's
efficiency.
efficient.
Yeah. Zach is having to find some new targets out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, just look at this receiving core. Tommy Neal, Omaha Wilson, Tim White, new to the team. This is a new setup for Zach, but
Yeah.
Zach's been decent this first couple
The
of
only
games.
name I recognize is Nick Dempsey.
Yeah, Dembski. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows if he will play the full season, So I don't know. As a Winnipeg fan, I'm a bit back and forth on this. Some of the CFL commentary has been about how Oliveira's got to get more touches, but he's alone in the backfield this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, check it out. He's the only natural halfback that got any carries at all. So that backfield is pretty sparse this year. And so, it might take a while for Oliveira to get going. It might take a while for a second runner to emerge, which, would be nice for this offense. So I don't know. People are panicking about Oliveira. They're panicking about the game plan a bit too early on this. It's a long season, we can take some of these early indicators, but I wouldn't worry about lack of production from Brady Oliveira.
It's a long season, and this week they have the bye, so they can work it out.
Yeah. They've got time. They're still smart, we assume.
Do you want to do some picks for this week?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk some picks.
So I got this week's games up on the screen. First of all, Friday we have BC in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you got there?
Actually, hold on just a moment here. I'm calling up the lines. I like to look at the point spreads on this. Some of these point spreads are pretty wacky this week. Okay. So BC is a 1.5 underdog at Hamilton.
I can see that.
I don't know. Hamilton, of course, because they're one of the only teams to have played 2 games. They've scored 54 points in those 2 games. And like I said, I'm sorry. I just do not have faith in this BC defense after this game 1. The TSN color guys pointed out that BC led the league in sacks last year. Not too surprising because, lots of teams were passing early on BC last year as BC was running up the score. But this year, that pass rush does not seem to be the same in game 1 against the Riders. And the secondary is still willing to give up lots of points. The thing is, the BC defense has been living on this big play mentality for years now. And, they've got to get past this. Just go back to playing, shell defenses. Let's not go for the home run every time, because all you're going to do is give up 29, 30 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that the way Hamilton is running this year, I'm sorry, I'm going to go with Hamilton. I mean, it sounds weird to say that BC is going to start the season 0-2 and in last place in the West, but I think that's going to happen. And then next week, we'll see some people pushing the panic button. I don't have the over-under in this game, but I'll take the over. If it's 80 points, I'll probably take the over in this game. I mean, no, I'm exaggerating. But, yeah, take the over. If the over is anything below 60, which it will be, just take the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game.
I would have to agree. You got Nathan Rourke against Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to also side with Hamilton on this one, and definitely going to be over 60 points.
I shouldn't disparage the BC defense too much because Daryl Sankey is on that team, and he basically had the best game of anybody on the Lions defense. He was a beast at times in this game. So, but yeah, I mean, I cannot count on BC defense yet. I cannot count on them to not allow lots of points. If they're playing Edmonton, if they're playing Ottawa, okay, I might run with BC. But at this point, nah, Hamilton's going to score too many points for BC, which sounds strange. To talk about with Nathan Rourke. But still, Hamilton can score a lot of points. Bo Levy is going for an MOP. I'm convinced. He wants to be the MOP this year. Right?
Yeah.
So,
in the craziest question of the week, who's going to win out of Toronto and Ottawa?
Well, here's the thing.
Chad Kelly might put up 800 passing yards in this game.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Okay. One of the nice things about betting on the CFL is still, you would think that the sports books have learned, but still, there are opportunities to exploit. Let's talk about this. Toronto, 1.5 point underdogs at Ottawa. Okay.
What?
Yeah. Somebody at the sports books are sleeping. I think Toronto wins this game outright. I don't know what the experts need to see. Yes, Toronto offense isn't that. I mean, Toronto defense is pretty porous. They will give up points. But geez, you're counting on the Ottawa offense? I mean, Ottawa is another team that, I'm sorry, that final score against Edmonton in week 1 might have looked close, but it wasn't that close. No. Ottawa was down by double figures throughout most of that game. So, and they just don't have the firepower. They certainly don't have the defensive stops. I honestly can't believe this line. Perhaps it's just because so many visiting teams have been winning early on in the season. Maybe that's part of it, but nah. You got to take Toronto to win. You've got to take Toronto. I mean, plus 1.5 is minus 120. So that's not even worth it. Just take Toronto on the money line. Come on. Argos have got to win this game, right? I mean,
one would think.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a question.
And then also on Saturday, as part of the triple header, the second game features your Montreal Alouettes at Edmonton to face the Elks.
Okay. Edmonton Elks, 4.5 point underdogs. There is no way. I have been, like I've been saying, I have been quite impressed with Montreal through these 2 games. Love this team. Really sharp-looking team. Great receiving core. Edmonton, not to disparage them, but Edmonton has pretty much been, once again, living on their 2 insanely talented, I don't even know what you want to call them, yardage accumulators. Just unbelievable. Justin Rankin, I'm talking about here.
Yep.
But also, who else am I thinking? Return guy. Leak. Javon Leak.
Leak, yeah.
Drawing a blank. It's still early in the morning for me. I'm not even finished my first cup of coffee. But with Rankin and Leak tearing off these big plays, wow. I mean, is Justin Rankin the most exciting player in the CFL. Is he?
He's up there for sure. Him,
Yeah.
Oliveira. I mean, Dedrick Mills looked pretty good as well for the Stampeders. Like, just some insane running backs we got in this league.
Yeah. 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 And Rankin is the biggest play of the biggest play guys, in my opinion. Now, Edmonton's also had the bye week. I will not publicly say that I'm betting against Montreal. So I will take Montreal to win, but I will also be taking Edmonton plus the 4.5 at home. I think that if Montreal pulls this game off, I think it will be extremely tight. I also think it will be interesting to have a world in which Edmonton is 2-0 and BC is 0-2. So that'll get some head spinning among the CFL faithful. So, yeah, I'm going to take Montreal to win, but I'm not feeling super confident about that. I think Edmonton is a quality team. The sportsbook had them as dead last on the odds to win the Grey Cup, but I'm just not buying that. We're starting with our proper starting quarterback, Cody Fajardo, in week 1. I think Edmonton's going to make a run, especially if Winnipeg continues to be as flawed as they might be the rest of the season. I think Edmonton has a future this year, and I can easily imagine them winning this game. So
I can too, and I'm actually going to pick them to upset the Owls in this game.
Always good to have some difference. All right. And then we're closing it with your stamps. I'm going to make you go first on this one.
Closing it with my stamps against the defending Grey Cup champions who looked pretty good against BC.
Better than I thought they'd look.
This is going to be a tight game, I think. This is going to be a quarterback shootout. It's going to be high scoring. I'm gonna say over 50 points. And oh God.
The line here is Calgary 1.5 point underdogs.
That makes sense, but I can't say Saskatchewan's gonna win. I can't. Especially against my team. So I'm gonna pick the Stampeders.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Stamps here. Last week on the show, I took BC over Saskatchewan. Again, one of the
nearly did it.
Yeah, I know. I could have been 6-0.
If it wasn't for that last bonehead play on defense by BC, the Riders would have never scored that last touchdown.
Yeah, it's amazing how many games turned on that the final score was all about
like how do you have a defensive man standing in the backfield not covering anybody?
Yeah,
it's beyond me.
That was amazing.
Just standing there doing nothing.
Yeah, they showed what they might call in the NFL the all 24. They showed that the sky cam from above, and yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, it looked like he was on a track meet. It looked like I'm just talk about your out routes. There you go. That's one of them. Your go routes, I should say. Talk about your go routes. Wow, just picture perfect. And those go routes work a lot better when you have no defender on you. So yeah, that was quite outstanding. That was quite the play. But yeah, I'm gonna take Calgary here just because one of the premises I'm operating on this season is there's no way the Riders can reproduce what they did in 2025. I mean, really, what they did in 2025 was not exactly unprecedented, but it's not something we've seen in a long time. I feel like the last time we really saw a team go wire to wire was the last time Edmonton won the Grey Cup. That year with Riley, they were just unbeatable all year, stayed on top of the West all year that year, and won the Grey Cup. So I'm just going on that premise. I'm waiting for things to even out for Saskatchewan a little bit. So I'm going to go with them until they're actually at 500. 2-2, 3-3, or whatever. I'm going to bet against them every game. So
Interesting.
I'm going to take, well, not every game. I mean, I'm sure they get Ottawa somewhere down the line, but I see that next in week 4, they'll have Toronto. So I might have to come off that horse real quick. So, but no, for this week, nah. I think Calgary's got enough horses. I don't think Calgary is not the superpower that they have been in the past this year, but they've got enough, especially on offense. But man, they got to do something about that D. They got to do this. This is another team that's allowing too many points. They're not gonna, teams like this, teams like BC. It doesn't matter how many points you can score because in the playoffs, defense does matter. When it gets cold, defense does matter. And right now, there's a couple of defenses that just look so much better than anybody's offense. For example, Montreal. If Hamilton can go in there scoring 40 points a game, doesn't matter. In the playoffs, you face a Montreal, it's not going to cut it. So I'm going to be interested to see which of these teams, which of these high scoring teams finds their defense first. I'm going to guess this week that Calgary offense is enough to take out Saskatchewan. So basically, we agree on everything except the Montreal game. And the Montreal game, I secretly agree with you on. But I'm not going to publicly admit that.
I can edit that out.
No, yeah. Well, no need for that. I'll go on the radio.
Hey, one thing we can both agree on is that we have really great sponsors.
Yeah.
Tell them about our premier sponsor.
I love to talk about Royal Retros at royalretros.com. You can fire up the screen share on this one.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, well, when Royal Retros says retros, they mean retro memorabilia. At royalretros.com, you can get your ball caps, jerseys, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, jackets, and the proverbial more, all done up in the look, the reimagining in some cases, of defunct teams, defunct leagues, including, just to mention some of them, we've got teams and gear from the old USFL, the old Arena Football Leagues, the World Football League, XFL, let's call them 1.0, Football Canada. They've got stuff from various pro hockey leagues, including the WHA, Go Nordiques, ABA basketball, and of course, all of those great historical baseball teams of the past. We're talking teams like not only the St. Louis Browns and the Seattle Pilots, but also the Kansas City Monarchs, Homestead Grays, Pittsburgh Crawfords, and many more of those classic Negro League teams. Like I say, some of these are reproductions, some of these are reimaginings. All of them look pretty damn nice. Best of all, for our listeners, get 10% off anything in the store when you use promo code SFTH. That's shots from the hip in acronym form, SFTH. RoyalRetros.com, your one-stop shop for everything historical, but more importantly, cool in sports paraphernalia. Check them out.
Yeah, and also Rampage Coffee Company has partnered with us to keep all of our hipsters caffeinated, from light roast to dark roast and even cold brew in single serving pouches, cups, or by the bag. But you don't have to decide which one you want to try because they even have sampler bundles. And good news, Oz, my sampler bundle has finally been delivered. Yep. Although not to this house, it's at my other house, so I have to go pick it up. But by this time next week, I will have sampled my coffee and I will have full reviews.
All right.
Best of all, you can click the link in the show notes and use code HIP10 to receive 10% off of your order of Rampage Coffee Company. So yeah, that is our sponsors, and we even have an intro to our premiere segment.
Yeah.
Let's
Here we
kick
go.
this off.
4 topics, 4 choices. Debate it, discuss it, defer it, or delete it. No safe takes, no middle ground. This is debate, discuss, defer, or delete.
Wow. That announcer, I tell you, is just top notch.
Well, I mean, I love the crowd. We haven't even done anything yet. They're already on their feet. This is great. This is great. Who needs to
Now,
win the
in
NBA championship, right?
Now, in our big extensive production meeting, I did make an error in the notes. I have you
Uh-oh.
selecting the topics, and that's not, of course, correct. I selected the topics this week, and you're going to decide which to debate, discuss, defer, or delete.
That's right.
And yeah, so topic number 1, given the NBA Finals just finished and Jalen Brunson of the Knicks won MVP, is Jalen Brunson the Knicks GOAT, greatest of all time?
Mhm.
Topic number 2. Following the death of NFL star Alden Smith, among a few other substance abuse and mental health stories in sports, do leagues and teams need to do more for players, or are they doing their jobs? Gotta add some controversy in there, right? Topic number 3. Amid skyrocketing prices of tickets for NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, and FIFA World Cup, is there an easy solution to lower prices so more lower income fans like myself can attend such events? And what brought that on was I was looking at tickets to the Stanley Cup Finals games while I was in Las Vegas. $1,200 US for a ticket. That's just one ticket.
Yeah.
Too rich for my blood. So yeah, is there an easy solution to lower ticket prices so more lower income fans can attend such events? And topic number 4, I brought back from last week, mainly because I couldn't think of a 4th topic. Were Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson just as or more important to the Chicago Bulls' success as Michael Jordan? Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Debate, discuss, defer, or delete.
Okay. Now I probably still haven't decided yet. But okay. I guess the first question is, can
You're
I
really
defer?
shooting from the hip then.
Yeah, exactly. Can I defer 2 of these?
Sure.
Okay, great. So, all right. Once again, I'm going to defer topic number 4. I know you want to do, Scotty and Phil being just as important to the Bulls, but I'm going to defer that one more time.
Okay.
We should be talking, but some of these other ones are too good to pass up. Besides, Jordan has now become the historical question, right? So it's evergreen. We can still do that next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Topic number 2 is about Alden Smith. Now, I could delete this one because the question is do leagues and teams need to do more for players, or are they doing their job? I'm going to defer this one in case you want to talk about this later.
Okay.
But I would say right now that, this goes into bigger questions, right? This is the rabbit hole, right? Do leagues and teams do enough about mental health issues? Well, the knee-jerk reaction is, of course not. But then look at greater society. How about, does greater society need to do more about mental health issues? Probably.
Very true.
Right?
Very
So
true.
this is a big issue. So we're gonna. I'll at least defer this. I don't necessarily want to delete it.
Okay.
So let's talk about this one then. We're gonna discuss the Jalen Brunson topic, because is Jalen Brunson the Knicks GOAT? A lot of people are, of course, incredibly high on this victory by the New York Knicks. Yes, we can be buoyed by the play of Jalen Brunson. He was awesome. He was Jordan-esque in this championship series. Okay. The New York Times itself proclaimed, okay, that's it. Jalen Brunson is the greatest New York Knick of all time. Okay, so that must mean something, right?
What? A New
Unfortunately,
York newspaper saying that?
yeah. Unfortunately, the New York Times really lost their mind because I saw one story that was headlined, "That's it. This is the greatest New York sports champion ever." Now, come on. I mean, guys, have you ever heard of the 1927 New York Yankees? Here's a good one for you. How about the 1937 New York Yankees, who had Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio and won the World Series? How about them? How about any of those Giants teams that beat Bill Belichick's Patriots? How about them?
Mhm.
How about, the 87 or the 91 team that beat the Buffalo Bills and had, Lawrence Taylor? How about them? Now, let's not get completely nuts here. Okay, New York. Now, Jalen Brunson, greatest Nick of all time. Okay. Okay, we can have that conversation. I do believe that he's one of the most, as I alluded to previously, he's one of the most unlikely superstars probably the NBA has ever seen. But greatest Nick of all time, I mean, I've looked at quite a few of these top 20 lists. Of course, these things always end up similarly. Often towards the top is Patrick Ewing,
Mhm.
who spent the great majority of his career, almost all of his career, in New York.
Mhm.
And of course, Ewing is dream team. I will never say anything bad about any of those guys, even Karl Malone. So you got to give him a plus for that. But Ewing has played in 2 championships. I believe one was in 1994, and which we'll talk about later. I'm sorry, 95, which we'll talk about later on, and also 1999. But in 1999, the Knicks were in the championship without Ewing having played in the playoffs. So if you're going to put that championship as supreme, well, you can't include Ewing. By the numbers, Ewing is the best. Ewing played more games in the uniform than anybody, scored more points, more rebounds, etc. So
What about Walt Frazier?
well, here's the thing. Frazier, yeah, he's also a competitor for this. But truth be told, when they were winning championships, he was essentially the second best player on his team. Really, I got to go with Willis Reed. I've got to go with Willis Reed here. I mean, look, even if you want to talk about just the championship, look, Willis Reed was the key player on the 1970 and 1973 New York Knicks. He won the Finals MVP in both of those seasons. In 1970, he was league MVP, right? I don't understand why anybody doesn't have Willis Reed on the top. Willis Reed also had an 11-year career, 11-season career, all with the Knicks. I know there's this rush to make relevant and historical the thing that just happened.
Mhm.
But geez, let's not lose our heads here. Can we have Jalen at number 2? I mean, just because the drought is over, we forget the 1973 team, which was really a great team. I mean, this was a team just loaded with stars and near stars and clutch role players,
Mhm.
guys like Phil Jackson. I mean, this was a quality team, and Willis Reed was toast of the town in New York in those days. In those days when the Yankees weren't winning World Series. I mean, so no, this is no slight against Jalen Brunson. Even the fact that we're talking about him in this area when he doesn't even have 3 seasons with the Knicks, is 3 full seasons, is, already this is compliment enough, one would think. So, I'm going to stick with Willis Reed. I'm going to be the old guy here. And let's see. Let's wait until next year, as they like to say in baseball.
This is like asking if Kawhi Leonard is the greatest Toronto Raptor.
Well, no one's gonna say that because we all think Vince Carter, right? But I mean, on the other hand, look, it will be impossible to write the history of Raptors basketball without Kawhi Leonard. It will. I mean, in the same way that, any of these top 10 Knicks, it's impossible to talk about the history of the Knicks without Willis Reed and Walt Frazier. And even on this particular list I'm looking at, Carmelo Anthony at number 5. I'm not sure that he deserves to be this high up there. Karl Anthony Towns, I'm not sure. But, the fact that Jalen is in New York Knicks history, I think that's enough. I don't think there needs to be this crowning of him as the GOAT just yet. But awesome player, not to take anything away. Now, you want to talk about Jalen as being one of the great under 6 foot players ever, sure. Unfortunately, you've got Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry in the way there. But he's also in that rarefied air. Yeah. Well, Vince is the greatest Raptor ever. I mean, there's no question about that. So yeah, Jalen soon, maybe
after next year's championship.
Yeah, sure. Even winning the East next year. But no, not yet. Let's calm down. Let's take a breath. Let's come back to this. Yeah, let's come back to this in September and see what we think.
Okay.
Outside of New York.
Outside of New York, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, that will be my word on that. Okay, now I'm going to troll you a bit here. All right, let's debate this one. And in fact, I'm going to take out this word easy. So The question is, because in my opinion, is there a solution to lower prices so that lower income fans can attend such events? Okay. Which would you like to argue here? Would you like to argue the yes or the no?
Well,
I'll even give you the side.
I mean, realistically, I know there's no way for it to happen. There's no way it will happen. Let's say that.
Yeah, but there is a solution.
There's a few solutions.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're viable.
A few solutions.
Oh yeah. I've got a few.
Well, I don't see. Look. Why are they not viable? All right. So here's the thing. All right. Okay. I'll argue the fact that, yeah, there is a solution, and it's even an easy solution. Make the prices cheaper. It's not difficult. Look, the truth is that, the real key statistic on these questions, because I've been tormented by this lately. You just see not only these prices going up, but essentially they're pricing out a good deal of the population. You want to know why there are so many watch parties in New York? It's not necessarily because it was a hard ticket to get. It's because nobody can afford these tickets anymore. Now, I don't want to say nobody, but the key statistic here is, in the United States at least, literally 2% of the population is responsible for 60% of consumer spending. When you are watching in America, when you're watching your sports event, and half the commercials are about beer and the other half are about investing in crypto, Well, that other half of ads is not for you. Sorry. It's a 98% chance that that is not for you. Now, the thing is, especially in baseball, you see this the most. In baseball, these markets do not care about local fans. Look, I'm a Rockies fan, okay? Our owners do not care about the local fans. Why? Because they've got the multi-billion-dollar TV contract, and a team like the Colorado Rockies is racking up hundreds of millions of dollars based on what? Maybe 2 appearances a year on Sunday Night Baseball? Maybe, And the truth is that, okay, so, most recently when I was in the States, I was living just outside of Anaheim. And every year after April, all of a sudden there's all these tickets for like $20. They're selling them, in these family packages for a promotion. Well, you could do that all year. The money is in the TV contract. You could easily make those tickets affordable. And it's not like everybody's going to say, oh, I'm not going to watch it on TV because I'm going to go to the game. Not everybody's going to do that. Still, look, if you made the ticket prices, 20%, like 80% off, you give it, look, you still are going to go to the park. You're still going to pay for parking. You're still going to buy the outrageously priced beers and sodas. And in the case of Colorado, the edibles, at the stadium. That's the thing. You could very, very, very easily make these tickets cheap. They just won't. Because this is the mega capitalist game where you try to make every dollar you can. As a result, you have Coors Field and you have, 2,000, 3,000 people coming to this game, and it's a freaking embarrassment. Because ownership would rather have that than having a full stadium of people paying less. If you actually did the Moneyball numbers on some of these teams, I'm talking specifically about the Rockies, but for example, the Miami Marlins have not been drawing, for a long time, and Florida's a viable baseball market. San Diego, they never have good sports attendance. And now it's even worse because these prices are so friggin' high. And they could easily do it. It looks terrible, these empty stadiums. Why do you think the Angels give away so many tickets at low prices? Because they want the optics.
Mm-hmm.
They want now look, in New York, probably, in Chicago, definitely, in Boston, definitely. You're always going to say St. Louis, you're always going to sell out a baseball game. But most of these other markets, friggin' Dallas, Fort Worth, give these people an option. Why not? There is an easy fix. They just don't want to do it. What it's going to take is underbidding the baseball TV contract. That's what it's going to take. There's nothing you can do about football, about NFL ticket prices, for example. There's nothing you can do about that. It takes a special breed to want to go see a live football game, especially in places like Green Bay, Chicago, Boston. It takes a special sort to want to go see these games where half the time you can't even see what's happening anyway. So there's nothing to be done about that. But you could absolutely make basketball tickets, absolutely make baseball tickets cheaper. In the meantime, what I would recommend is go see some minor league baseball. Minor league baseball is awesome. This is how Major League Baseball used to be. It's fun. You're talking to people in the crowd. there are these, other entertainment distractions, but it's not as ubiquitous as in the major leagues. You have, and it's baseball. It's baseball. It's outside on that gorgeous field. It's great to look at. And, again, the game is the same, and go see a minor league game. Minor league baseball, I can't say enough good things about it. And it's still affordable.
I would have to agree with that and add also go watch some minor league hockey and some minor league football.
Sure. Any of that. I guess in the case of football in America, you could check out high school, college. I mean, so much of football is about the ritual nature of it, right? And so if you're a football fan, high school football is just as good. It's just as good.
2 years ago, we went to a college game in Baton Rouge to watch LSU.
Sure.
Tickets were $13.
13? Awesome.
$13.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. There's no reason not to do that. I mean, that's, again, they could be doing this in the big leagues, but they just don't. They're appealing to that top tier, unfortunately. This is what our culture is coming to.
Wow. Not only that, but we also have scalpers buying tickets and reselling them at insane prices.
The resale market. The resale market, which helps no one. What that does is it makes sure that I don't know, take your pick. Shakira, this assures that Shakira sells out 50% of the seats, basically. This assures that, you can't get a ticket to the Lakers game, unless you want to, pay $500 for a $100 seat at the top of the nosebleeds. I've been there before. I've been in that position before. So, I mean, nah, it's the thing that makes you cynical about sports. One of Oz Davis's rule of life is money ruins everything, right? Well, a corollary to that theory of life is that corporatism destroys everything. And that's what we're seeing in sports right now. These franchises are becoming corporations, and they're acting like corporations, and that's no way to run a sports team. It used to be about the fans. This is one of the nice things about European soccer and to some extent Canadian football, is that very, very, very often these franchises are about the fans. They're not even about the players. They're definitely not about the profits, and this sounds idealistic, but when every town has a professional club, this can happen. In North America, essentially, this has become a plaything of the elites. Sports, theater, other forms of high entertainment, concerts are becoming playthings of the elite. They're not for normal people anymore. It's nuts. Absolutely crazy. I can't stand it. So big problem.
I would have to agree. So this didn't become much of a debate.
No, not a debate. No, I agree more. I agree with you more. I guess basically, because the debate is that you say, there is no realistic solution. And I say there is, there is a realistic solution, but we agree that no one's going to do it.
No, exactly. Yeah. So that wraps up episode 20 and a half or 21, or we decided this was going to be 21.
I think it's 22, actually. I think it's 22.
Yeah. There's one still in the can. 21 is still in the can. We're going to try and get it out of the can, and we'll post that as well, just because it's good content. So we'll throw both of them up. So next week, I don't know if we're going to have much to talk about with no NBA, no NHL. I guess we'll have CFL World
Oh, we
Cup.
still have CFL, and you're going to have to start. See, now you're going to have to start looking at World Cup. You have no
Yep.
choice. You got nothing else.
I got nothing else.
So yeah, next week we'll be talking from the sports world. Of course, this is the Shotgun Sports Network, so the emphasis will probably be on CFL. But hey, you can't ignore the World Cup, especially me. I can't.
And I'm sure there'll probably be one or two NFL players arrested by then as well. So we'll talk about that maybe.
Ooh, cynical. NBA draft is coming up pretty soon. When's the NHL draft?
That is a good question. I was going to
July?
look that up today even. I believe it's is it July? I think you're right. I think it is July.
That's what I thought. Yeah. The let's say the with the 2006 NBA draft, to be absolutely precise, it's actually really close. Yeah, the NBA draft is next week, June 24. June 24.
So is the NHL draft, June 26th.
Is it really? Wow. Okay, so we won't be talking about that next time, but we'll be talking about that in 2 weeks. Those drafts for sure. So, but yeah, next week, more sports, more movies, etc.
Yay, sports.